Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lived and Told. Today I got here my good friend Haz.
Oh,
Haz here is a good friend of mine for a couple of years now. Been
That's
a
it.
couple of years, and I want to get Haz on today to talk about a topic that's probably close to his heart, both professionally and also personally as well.
Definitely.
So Haz is a dedicated Muslim within his community there, and without naming the company, he works in day out with those in the community to help with their financial needs. But that's my intro of Haz. Has anything else you want to add on to that at all?
no, that's about it, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's it. Yeah.
Alright, perfect. So Haz, let's get into some rapid fire questions just to,
Okay,
get,
done.
just to get to know you a bit
Let's
more. So let's dive into it. Your last meal on death row.
Oh, okay. It have to be something mum cooks.
Yeah.
And it has to be part of it. But, dude, I love a Japanese curry.
Oh really?
Like Jap curry with like tempura chicken or whatever it's called. Man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like summer or winter. If not that, then a curry laksa. Like a Malaysian curry laksa. Yeah.
Ah, perfect. Just one dish.
That's it, bro. Keep it simple. Keep it
Beverage
simple, that's
of choice.
it. Ooh, Coke Zero, man.
Coke Zero?
I don't know.
Oh, you're a Coke fan.
Coke or Pepsi, man? I don't know. I know there's a difference. Me personally, I can't tell. My palate isn't refined.
Ah,
enough,
okay,
to
so
be
you don't
honest.
mind Coke Zero or Pepsi Max?
Nah, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
And dessert?
Tiramisu.
Tiramisu.
I think tiramisu is a good one. Yeah.
What's the best tiramisu you've had, or one that comes
It's
to mind?
good. So the first one, Grill Americano.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the.
Oh yes.
The one that went viral on Instagram. It's
Yeah.
pretty decent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's got like Pellegrino's espresso bar
Mm.
on like next to Parliament Station.
Is it new?
No, it's been around for ages.
Oh, has it?
Like,
Okay.
I don't know if this is true.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on this, but apparently they had the first espresso machine in all of Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
At that restaurant.
Oh,
So it's like
wow.
proper, like it's messy. The serving isn't it's supposed to look nice, but it tastes.
This is like the
amazing.
authentic style. This is authentic
Exactly.
style.
Yeah.
Not sure what your sports fan has, but your favorite sports team or person?
Okay. Big cricket fan.
Yeah.
Played a lot of cricket growing up.
Yeah.
Was never really that good, but for me, the Pakistan cricket team,
Yeah.
we're just not that good. I don't think they've ever.
You
won
were
it.
good.
I was alright. Like but thanks to my dad who just drove me around everywhere to play. Yeah.
You still play?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
I think I realized when I had a 15-year-old bowl to be and I couldn't hit the ball and I was like, all right, that's time.
It's time. Yeah.
But yeah, favorite cricketer of all time probably Wasim Akram.
What's your background?
Yeah. Old Pakistani guy. Never got to see him play, but tracked him on my game after him a little bit.
For those who've never seen, go check out his highlights.
100%.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And 90s, early 2000s was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Last one. Dream car.
Ooh.
I'm not sure at the time of filming the petrol prices influence your answer at all.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
dream car, regardless of petrol prices.
You know what? Regardless of petrol prices, I think the dream car would be a Lamborghini Murcielago 640 with like the SV badge on the side, in all white.
All white. Yep.
Yeah, I remember you used to like play a lot of Need for Speed growing up, and that was one of my favorite cars to use. So I have to say true to it. Yeah,
Oh
that's
man,
the one.
I haven't heard that game in ages.
It
Now.
was a
I love
good game,
Need
yeah.
for Speed on the PS1 and maybe PS2. I think.
Yeah,
but
PS2,
definitely the
yeah.
PS2.
Exactly.
Definitely
Yeah.
the
First one
PS2.
as well. Yeah.
Alright, cool. No, thanks.
No worries.
No, it's good. Haz. So let's dive right into it. So, to someone who doesn't know about the religion of being Muslim and Islam, can you walk us through maybe like a 2 minute of what it is and I guess your involvement with it in terms of how it's been growing up.
Yeah. So as with any religion, religion is very personal. The way you practice it, there's a whole spectrum. People, the way they practice it, what it means to them. But for me, the word Islam, as you boil it down, the root word is from the word salam or SLM, which sort of means peace.
Yeah.
So to me, Islam is being at peace with yourself, being at peace with others, and at peace with God.
Yeah.
So it's a very personal religion because unlike a lot of the other Abrahamic faiths, so again, not an expert, but there's sort of like a hierarchy. You can't, within Islam, you can just talk directly to God. Like you pray 5 times a day. That's your, supplication to God.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You give charity with an open arm for the sake of God. You give it for the sake of helping your brothers and sisters around the world. And it is a global religion. Like for me being from Pakistan, I practice religion so differently to so many others. Like there's Islam all over the world.
Yeah.
Culturally, it changes quite a bit as well. Like for me, my parents are quite religious. My mum teaches Quran. So I grew up around the religion.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Attended a Muslim school for a couple of years as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's just for me, it's definitely just a way of dealing with whatever's happening around the world at any time within my own life as well.
Yeah.
So whatever happens, it's God's will, and you just got to deal with it. And I always say God never burdens you with anything you can't handle.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful actually. And does someone get baptized into the religion, or how does that nuance work over there? So I guess with those listening and watching now, speaking from my own faith, being Catholic, they obviously get baptized in the church. You get your, as a baby, or even as an adult, you get the water poured over your head and whatnot, and make the commitment to God. How does that differ within your religion there?
As a kid, there's nothing really that you go through. Like, for me personally, I was born into it. But, I guess like the first pillar of Islam, then there's 5, but the first pillar is definitely, especially as a revert or a convert, if you convert into the religion, you're basically say your shahada, which is your oneness of God. You acknowledge that there's only one God, it's Allah, and He has a prophet, and Islam is guided by the Quran, which is obviously our holy book revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also the teaching of the Prophet, which is called the Hadith. So those are the 2 things that guide everything that we do in life. Whether it be from finances, which we'll talk about, to marriage, to dealings in business, or anything in between.
It goes back to obviously the holy book there.
That's it.
And your guiding principles, and they kind of guided through that.
Correct.
And I guess as a kid, obviously being born into religion, obviously such a deep faith within your family. Were you forced to read it at a young age, or how was that taught to yourself?
I wouldn't say forced. I mean, to an extent, it was forced. Like as a kid, you don't want to do anything apart from just play games, play sport, or whatever.
Play Need for Speed.
Need for Speed, exactly.
But
for me, it was like I always grew up around it. My parents would always practice. They would always, go to the mosque on Fridays for Eid and Ramadan. We always fast and whatnot. But for me, my parents never forced it on me. It came to me something quite naturally. Like they encouraged me to explore it. I've always enjoyed reading, so I started reading a lot of books, a lot of podcasts now growing up to sort of understand what it means as an adult. Like as a kid, I think with most religions, you just whatever you given to you, you sort of accept, almost blindly, and it's quite natural. It was never forced upon me, but I was encouraged to explore it at my own speed, and I really appreciated that because I think that gave me a better and deeper appreciation for what's going on.
I think their upbringing, was there a moment where you kind of questioned it? Like you said, I think as a younger kid, growing up, you kind of just go, this is what my parents kind of tell me. Was there ever a rebellious side of you where you were like, don't really want to practice?
No, not to the point where I didn't want to practice. It was definitely points that I questioned, like, hey, why do we do this in this regard? And
why are we going to the mosque every Friday?
Correct. And it was just, the mosque every Friday. Why do we fast during Ramadan, for example? Why are all these things prescribed to us? Whether that be, praying 5 times a day all the way down to, giving charity. Why are we forced to give charity to an extent? And to deal with that, when you're 15, 16, you don't really care about it. Especially when you're growing up in Australia, when there's so many different faiths and a lot of agnostic people as well who don't have any faith. So for me, it was definitely part of questioning it, but I think that gave me a deeper appreciation for it once you get those answers. As opposed to blindly following it.
I was about to say, I think like from my own religion, I think people that question it kind of build a stronger faith. If that makes sense from my experience. Oh no, that's awesome. You mentioned one thing that I'll ask you into it then, but I'll go into super detail. But you mentioned that praying 5 times a day. Is that just a standard practice across the religion and different cultures as well, or?
No, I think that, again, not an expert, but the way I understand it, the way you pray differs across. We call them different madhahib or schools of thought. So you've got Sunni Islam, Shia Islam, and then even in the Sunni Islam, you've got like different schools of thought, like the Maliki or the Shafi'i or the Hanbali, for example, and that's more of a geographic thing. As if you look at where the Muslim empire expanded from and then emerged into the cultural thing. So a cool example would be like the way a Pakistani Muslim would get married would be very similar to how maybe an Indian Sikh would get married. Especially for being from Punjabi heritage, there's a lot of culturally, a lot of things meld in with the religion. But if you go to like East Africa, a lot of the Muslims in East Africa would share the cultural nuances along with their religion, and therefore influences how they practice it with that of a Christian or a Catholic within East Africa as well. And then you go to Southeast Asia, like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei, massive Muslim populations, but culturally what they do would be quite different. But the way you pray, the way you worship God or your oneness with God usually stays the same. But praying 5 times a day is just something that's been prescribed to us. One morning prayer, one sort of early afternoon, one mid-afternoon, one as the sun goes down, and one night prayer. It might sound like a lot, but a prayer takes max 5 days, or 5 minutes at a time. It's a good time to sort of just meditate, be one with God, and just good start to the good way to end the day as well.
I'm sure people can spare 5 minutes a day.
Correct. How often do we doom scroll? And I'm guilty of that as well. Just scrolling through your phone. I think my screen time is way too high anyways. So just put in context or comparatively, I think it's not as onerous as people might assume.
Yeah, people go, well, that's a lot, but then, like you said, when you put it into that context, it can be 1 minute, can be a bit longer depending on the conversation that you're having, but it can be as quick as 5 minutes.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned the Ramadan. At the time of recording this episode, I think we just finished.
About 2 weeks ago.
That period of time, 2 weeks ago. There. So can you explain to the listeners and the viewers what Ramadan is and what did you have to go through that as part of your faith?
Yeah. So Ramadan is sort of the holiest month of Islam, and for us, it's when the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. And it was basically the way we observe it is, the main thing is obviously fasting. So when you of age, you're not sick, you're not traveling, it's not prescribed upon us, but it's quite lenient. Like if you're sick, don't fast. If you're traveling, you don't have to fast, for example. And it's basically from sun down to sunrise. You're supposed to abstain from water and food, but also it's a good time to just practice other things from the worldly perspective, like your desires when it comes to swearing.
Yep.
Like in Australia, swearing is so common. I road rage a little bit as well. Like, so try not to swear during the month of Ramadan and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's also just an awesome opportunity to be present and spend time with family as well.
Yeah.
Give a lot more as well. With terms of charity, you go out to iftars, which is the meal that you have when you're breaking your fast.
Yeah.
The community gets together. You support some awesome causes around the world and in Australia as well.
Yeah.
There's additional praise as well. It's not prescribed upon you, but it's it's the holiest month.
Yeah.
The reward, we believe the rewards are multiplied at that time, so it's a cool opportunity to just be closer to God, and it's a mental reset.
Yeah.
You do it once a year, it's a month. Might sound like a lot, but it's honestly not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you put it in perspective of a whole year, it's not
Correct.
that much.
Yeah.
And what's the, I'll say background because that's not probably not my phrase, but what's the purpose of the fast? So like you said, it was during the time where the Prophet was revealed, the Holy War was revealed to Muhammad there as part of that process. Or what's the linkage to, fasting during that time?
I think the point of fasting is more so just to be oneness and to understand how much abundance there is. When you think about it, food. How many of us, do intermittent fasting for, don't eat before 2? Maybe that's for fitness reasons or reason, forget to eat, and then the water is maybe a bit more of a conscious thing. But those things come quite naturally. I think the first couple are a little bit harder when you've got to just detox your system, for example. But outside of like people who smoke, for example, you're not allowed to smoke. So
really?
You can't smoke. Like I said, you can't swear either. So it's just like that sort of, I think, mindset shift. I think that's the main thing, to be mindful of what the privileges you have. For a lot of us, fasting is a choice. Like for me, I can, we could go out to eat right after this, but for a lot of people around the world, they don't have that luxury. Mm-hmm. So it's also a point to be conscious about the privileges that we have been afforded in this life. And, whether if it's not eating or drinking for a few hours a day, it's sort of just a way to recognize that as well, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And how do you deal with that personally? Obviously, you have a life, you got relationships you got to maintain, gym and whatnot to do, and hobbies and whatnot. But how do you maintain that while it is the month of Ramadan?
I think it's just, for me, it was the coffees, man. I'm a big caffeine. I've always got an energy drink here. I drink maybe 2 coffees a day as well, and like you said, the gym definitely takes an impact. But it's that priorities thing. If you've just got a month, to really focus on your religion to get closer to God, it's not that big of a sacrifice to make. You do that. You save from coffees. You don't eat as much, and that's fine. Relationships, friendships, and whatnot, it's not too bad. We're from Melbourne, in this area, Western Melbourne.
I mean, it's super supportive, of it. It's so much more.
And I think corporate Australia is getting to know that as well. Not that your performance does anything, but just being mindful. A few years ago, iftar or the time to break your fast was around 5 or 6 p.m. And to recognize, we shouldn't have any meetings at that time or things like that.
Oh wow.
But outside of that, it's just another month. I think as an adult, you sort of just deal with it. It's really special as well. I don't know if you went out to any of the night markets around here, but some of the night markets, I think Sydney, Lakemba ones are the most famous ones in Australia.
Okay.
They're massive. They run, I think, Thursday to Sunday every weekend from Ramadan, and they're pumping. I think there was one in Dandenong. They estimated 1 million people would have visited.
1 million people. Over the week, over the 4 days. Oh wow,
you just think about it. It's the community gets together, and it's not just for Muslims. Obviously, there's a lot that non-Muslims take away from it. If you're a non-Muslim, you want to fast. I think it teaches you a lot about that privilege aspect as well. It's
not saying you speak for the community, but obviously when you guys break the fast and you guys, post Ramadan had the celebrations there. If a non-Muslim were to attend, what's the community reception to that.
Yeah, no, more than welcome. I think, you know, like I said, Islam is all about peace and, you know, wanting to be oneness. And I think Muslims in Australia recognise we live in Australia. We're very proud of the fact that it's multicultural, multi-faith. You know, if our faith is supported, so is everyone else's. You know, you have people from the community attend all the time. The night market's always open to everybody else. I think, you know, the mosques usually hold open days as well throughout the year. If you're interested in learning more, you're more than welcome to go to any of your local mosques. They'll give you a tour.
Oh, wow.
Teach you about what the faith is and teach you about what prayer means as well. So like I think for non-Muslims as well, it's a cool opportunity to, you know, I think everybody knows a Muslim mate. Everybody has a Muslim mate somewhere. So that's sort of a really cool opportunity to get to know your friends a little bit more.
Oh, 100%. And is there any common misunderstandings that you've had as around?
I think so. I think every time you start fasting, you always get hit with not even water. Like people, you know, you're sure you're fasting, you're not eating, but you can't even have water. You can't have any drinks. And you know, I think that's just, it's just funny, but it's I think people honestly people really respect it.
I think people care as well. I think which is obviously just as important. Obviously, I think people actually genuinely care and take interest in it.
Correct. I think I feel very supported by my non-Muslim friends, colleagues as well, who are really actually quite interested to learn about it. If there's like it's a dinner at the end of the day, and everybody's always welcome, especially the community ones. Like there's tickets available to some of the ticketed events, some non-ticketed just rock up and have a meal with them as well. It's pretty cool.
Is there anything that you've experienced personally that people have misunderstood about your faith?
I think a couple. But I think that the biggest one is definitely the way the media portrays it. I think it's really unfortunate, especially in Australia, like now coming from a perspective where my faith is such a big part of what I do for work. I think it's unfortunate the way we're portrayed in Australia. Like, let me ask you this: how many Muslims do you think there are in Australia?
Out of the population, you mean?
Yeah.
So what? I think currently at the time of filming, we have 25 million people. Let's just say
roughly.
Roughly. 7? Oh, actually, maybe a bit high. Maybe 4 to 5.
There's probably less than 1 million Muslims.
Really?
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I think anything negative that we do, unfortunately, is just perpetuated throughout media. I think the media doesn't understand where the religion's coming from. And I will say, I don't think our community leaders have been portrayed fairly either. Like, I think the people. You know, a really good example. Like if you're a footy fan, everybody knows Bashar Hooli. And he wears his religion on his sleeve every time he goes out. You know, I met him a few times. He does a beautiful recitation of the Quran. He's such a proud and devout Muslim. And when he's playing footy, that's fine. But anything outside of that, any controversy, you know, like Muslim Khawaja, like a couple of years ago with the statement that he put in his shoes, he was vilified across the media. Both internationally and domestically. And I think, you know, growing up, everybody loves the cricket. Everybody gets around the Aussie cricket, especially against in the Ashes. Like nobody likes England.
It's such a big thing.
And for him to cop that, despite of everything that he's done for the community as a whole, I think was really unfortunate. So I think that's the perception of Islam that in my lifetime I would love to see change.
Does it make you angry? Or angry is not the right word.
Angry is probably not the right word. Angry definitely to an extent. Like I think there's always, you know, I wish it was better, but it was more disappointment. I think now, through social media and through all these other things like lived experiences and multiculturalism is so apparent. Like I would, unless you're actively choosing not to be friends with a Muslim, like I doubt that you don't have a Muslim mate if you live in Australia, especially in Melbourne. You know, so to go through social media, we've got lived experiences, people are documenting everything about them, and people are so accessible in this day and age. To say that you can't have an unbiased opinion, I think I'm just more disappointed.
For sure.
But I don't think that's just Muslims. I think the media does a really poor job of portraying most minorities. So I think that's just sort of that intersection between, you know, multiculturalism and Islam is a small sector that. I think I would love to see.
I think it's almost like they force an agenda on the wider public without allowing the minority or whoever is the target, I guess I'll call them in this case, without giving that target a voice to actually portray their side of the story and actually be independent news where it allows the wider public to form an opinion, or you know, have no opinion based on what they hear from both sides. Really.
Absolutely, no, I completely agree. That's a really good way to put it. I think, definitely.
Career path, you mentioned it there, day in, day out. So, without taking me through your full resume, how did you end up in the position that you are, and with your faith and whatnot and your upbringing, is it kind of the perfect job for you?
I really so. I went to just a normal high school, public high school, and I ended up studying. I got into law.
Yep.
But I didn't enjoy it as much, so I took a semester off and I did actuarial studies because I really enjoyed my math in high school.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was like, "Yeah, just check it out for a semester," and I actually really just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I did that. I did a few internships throughout uni, worked in M&A and investment management for a bit, and then got my first full-time role was in actuarial consulting.
Yep.
And I got in and I said, "Geez, I hate this."
Oh, is it
Like,
completely different to what you studied, or?
Yeah, completely different. It was very boring, very one-paced. Don't get me wrong, I love the people I work with, still very close with them.
Oh,
A
awesome.
lot of respect for them as well. And learned a lot in that 1 year.
Mm.
But for me, it was like, to really get qualified as an actuary, you have to spend an extra 8 to 10 years after graduating to get qualified.
Like you're studying or something, or?
Yeah. So
wow.
you have to get qualified. Like there's 3 levels, and I was never smart enough to get all the exemptions.
Wow.
But I wanted to do, I was really young. I was only 21 when I was working, and I
First
thought,
job out of high school.
yeah. And I just thought, you know what? Let me pivot, and I got a grad program where I am now. And from there found out about Islamic finance. I remember my current boss, I literally just emailed him once. I'm like, "Hey, would love to learn more about Islamic finance." And he was gracious enough to give me like 30 minutes on Zoom, and he said, "Look, if you want to get involved, a good way to get involved is we run an annual iftar every year." And he said, "If you want to get involved with the iftar," I said, "Yeah, sure."
And for those listening, what is it, iftar?
Iftar is, I should reckon. So in Ramadan, every time you break your fast, the meal you have is called the iftar. And here we have one. So we've run it 5 years in a row. This year we had about 150 people attending, and we've slowly been growing.
Oh, wow.
So next year probably be 200 and above. There's a lot of support for it, and I remember I just put my hand up as a grad to get involved, help them with whatever, and I ended up hosting. So I hosted the iftar as a grad. I think we had the CRO and CFO in attendance, and a lot of senior people at the bank, a lot of clients as well.
Were you nervous?
Very. Very. Like I've done debating and public speaking in high school.
That's completely different.
Completely different.
It's almost different because you're getting paid for this almost in a way. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, like the stakes were higher.
Yeah, the stakes were higher.
I remember I said the wrong name when I was introducing the guest speaker.
Oh no.
The CRO, and I said somebody else, and I'm about to run back to the podium and say apologies, and say it's the right name. And my current boss went up to me. He's like, "Hey, get the names right." So I thought it was really funny. But like through that, I made a really good relationship with him. And I just, grad program, you rotate throughout. So I did some work in corporate, banking and treasury and whatnot. But I always stay close to the Islamic finance team. And I remember he was going out of office for like 3 weeks or something. He said, "Hey, do you want to be my out of office contact?" And I said, "Yeah, okay. What's the worst that could happen?"
And this time you weren't reporting to.
I was not reporting to him. I was in some way off team.
You were another part of the business.
Completely different. And I remember I had no idea, but he was in the middle of like closing a pretty large transaction. And then maybe a week after he was gone, I'm getting like bombarded with emails from these bankers who I've never spoken to before. And the transaction was falling apart apparently. Like they had no idea what to do with the docs and all this and that. Neither did I. But I remember I was on like, I was WhatsApping my current boss and I was like, "Hey, what do I do here?" I was talking to anybody else that I knew in the bank. I think that's the benefit of being a grad. Like you just meet so many people. And I saw that. And then I was just continuing to work a little bit. It's like the transaction went ahead, we were fine, which was fantastic. And we just went ahead, just throughout the thing, just helped with some Excel work and whatnot. And did the grad program offered me a role, and I took it. And I've been probably 18 months into the role now. And,
awesome.
I really enjoy it. It's super unique. Like you've got a lot of the product side, a lot of the client side as well. Lots of events. Like we're forefront of the iftar and a couple of other events as well. We work across the bank. Like we just work with smaller businesses all the way up to like large corporates and institutionals, investors as well. So it's a really cool, unique role.
Do you think that you blew your shot after you messed up the name, or after that you kind of found your feet and everything was fine?
No, I think we'll, cracked a couple of jokes afterwards at my own expense. So I think people were pretty happy with it in the end. But like they asked me to host again next year and 2 years after that, and been enjoying it ever since.
It's like a permanent thing for you to do now.
I think so. It's my second job now.
So you mentioned it there, how you work with just a wide range of small to multi larger companies there. In simple terms, what is Islamic finance?
Okay. So I've got to get this right, hopefully. So in Islam, the concept of riba, which is loosely defined as usury or interest, is forbidden. So that's both paying interest but also receiving interest. So if you've got a savings account, with any bank, you're receiving interest, you're technically not allowed to. And like I said, it's a very personal thing, any part of religion. So typically the way Islamic finance is structured, so let's take a step back. When I say personal, some people have savings accounts, they're happy with it, not for me to judge, that's fine. Like they do what they do.
Yeah.
Some people won't touch it. I know some people who have never touched debt in their entire life and have
Touch interest?
any sort of debt, any sort of external financing, purely equity financing, working hard, starting businesses and just amassing like a large sum of assets.
Paying everything in cash?
Yeah, cash only, yeah. So if so the way Islamic finance is typically structured, like you think about a normal bank, you pay interest in a mortgage or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a few things. So typically, the easiest way to think about it is an equity partnership. We want to buy a house. I want to buy a house. I say, okay, let's go 50-50, $500,000 each. We go into it. Say 30 years, I pay you a rental payment. At the end of the 30 years, it's mine.
Is not any other bank in this situation?
Oh, yeah, the two of us. It doesn't even have to be banks. It could just be like partnerships within people as well.
Right, so what about one step? So if I was not practicing the faith,
Yeah.
I would go to a bank saying, hey, I got a deposit, give me 80%, I'll go buy this house over here.
Correct.
I'll keep paying you your principal and interest.
Yep.
And then that's fine.
Yeah.
You're the bank in this scenario or
Yeah.
financial institution. I am a practicing Muslim.
Yeah.
How would that work between you and I?
Cool. So, maybe not a bank. Maybe we'll say as first would be community organisation. So let's put Muslims to home. So we say, okay, we'll put say whatever deposit amount. We'll say 50-50 for
say the house is $500,000 for how many K? So I'm putting in 250.
250. I'm putting in 250.
Okay.
So economically, it could look the same, but essentially, what we have is joint ownership.
Yep.
And this actually works better with a business. So say we want to open up a kebab shop or a sidetrack. We say we'll get 50K each.
Yep.
If the business takes profit, we share the profits. But if it makes a loss, we share the loss as well. So that's where we come into like an equity or a musharaka partnership.
Okay.
That's the sort of the easiest way to think about a partnership structure. There's other ways where maybe you fund it all and I work for it. So we say, okay, we work for it. I work for it for say 10 years, and I essentially sweat equity, pay through it and whatnot. But in Australia, these sorts of things don't really work out. Another easy way to think about it is, if I buy something and sell it to you, trade-based agreements are allowed. So as opposed to me giving you $100 at 10% interest, I buy something for 100 and sell it to you for 110.
Yep.
That's fine because it's a sale rather than a database agreement.
Okay.
So economically, it looks the same. So nobody's disadvantaged.
Could it work that I pay you a monthly installment, but there's no interest on it, and that's stipulated in the document?
Correct. Like we could just pay, you pay me $11 a month for 10 months, for example.
Yeah, which is obviously $10 including GST.
Yeah. So it could be the same as a 10% upfront interest, but because you're paying it differently and it's a trade. Yeah, that's fine. So the concept of Sharia, which is the law that guides, and again, Sharia, I want to differentiate from what the media says, is it's nothing evil. It's just the term given to the law that the Muslims observe, or the rules.
You practice,
So to do that, like trade-based is fine, but in all these sort of structures, the Australian tax system isn't that advantageous. Like if you go equity, if I go to NAB and I say, hey, I want to buy a house, coming with me, you got to go all the way up to the board to do it. If I go to CBA and say, hey, buy this, sell it to me, they say, okay, it's double stamp duty, capital gains, all these tax leakages.
Is that because the institution, whether it be ANZ, Westpac, or NAB or CBA, or any other financial institution, they're charging you double? Is that because they're not making money on the interest that you're going to be borrowing?
No, I think if we look at this, okay, you want to buy a phone. I buy the phone for 100, I sell it to you for 110.
Yep.
If I'm a bank, I could technically do that, but the issue is I'm buying. That's
you're using, in this case, you're the financial institution using your own money to buy it, as opposed
to going in and through a debt-based thing, and I'm buying and I'm selling it to you, and that's, if I buy it, that's stamp duty and capital gain. This is the phone, but if you go up to like a house or a larger business, stamp duty on like $1 million house is quite a lot. If I sell it to you again for 1.1 mil, that's double stamp duty, and for a lot of people, they can't afford that. I'm sure some Muslims around the world can, but it's just not as equitable as it should be.
100%, because it's such a high barrier or high entry cost.
Correct, yeah. So, economically, we want it to look the same. A lot of non-Muslim jurisdictions around the world have actually amended tax law to facilitate this. So the biggest example is the UK. So, if you're a sports fan, you've heard of Newcastle United was bought out by the Saudis, for example. You look at, Man City, the Emiratis, and
then Muslims.
Muslim owners, and the Shard in London, and all these high
net worth.
high net worth families from the Gulf have invested money into the UK.
Yep.
And to allow that, the UK has actually initiated a lot of tax laws that facilitate it.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So as opposed to considering this buying and selling as two transactions, that would be considered as one there, because they see it as a financing rather than a trade. So there's things like that. So the way it gets quite complicated, but the easier thing about Islamic finance, your interest is forbidden.
Yep.
But it promotes equitable partnership. So whether it's trading or whatever it is, and it's supposed to be fair for both parties.
Yeah.
That's sort of the crux of it all.
Yeah. I guess the question people might have is, how does the financial institution make money in this instance?
Yeah.
They make money by pretty much, like you said, if it's a trade scenario, essentially, to counteract that interest not being charged, they kind of put a markup on the service / item. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a profit rate. A lot of people have this misconception that Islamic finance is supposed to be free. Like
why? Because it's just free.
Yeah, it's just free, and I wish it was, because I would take benefit of it as well. Yeah. But realistically, if you ask anybody, hey, give me $100 interest fee, you may never see it again. Not many people would say, yeah, okay. A lot of people would be hesitant for that. There is a product or a structure. It's called a qard hasan, which is basically giving for the sake of God. If you're somebody disadvantaged, and the work I do now, we do a lot of this still. We do this with the Islamic Council of Victoria, where if somebody needs, if you say you're a refugee, you just come to Australia, you need to go into uni or whatever, you need $1,000 for a laptop. We say, here's $1,000. If you can pay me back, fantastic. If you can't, that's fine. That's you. That's yours. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Obviously, maybe $1,000 through a charitable organisation makes sense. But by the time you get to the larger end of town and you say, I want a $5 million warehouse.
Hey.
It's me. Hey, hang on, brother. I don't know. And especially so we have to make that work. We have to charge a profit rate. We sort of go into an equitable partnership with them, and they buy us out over time, essentially.
Okay.
And that's how you sort of make a profit.
I guess is the maybe a bit technical, but is the security going to be that building that essentially?
The security, and if you have anything else like a trading business involved, or if you have other properties that you need, and you do that as well.
Is there extra securitization required?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Are there products available to those who practice Islam for every? Before we butchered that, is there every product that's available for Islamic customer that would be for non-Islamic customer?
Globally, yeah. In Australia, probably not. So, like I said, Australia, we've only got probably 1 million Muslims here.
Yeah.
I think latest census shows 50% of us only live 25.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like, what sort of financial product would a 12-year-old really need, apart from we can't do Dolomites anymore.
An uninterest savings account.
Yeah, correct. So things like that. On the larger end of town, I think we're getting there. I think Australia is realizing, okay, we're so close to countries like Indonesia and Malaysia. Yeah. We could sort of copy paste what the UK has done to attract foreign capital from there and do it for the Southeast Asian countries.
You say those countries because they're high. Islamic countries. Yeah.
Correct. Higher population. Like Indonesia has the highest number of Muslims in the world.
Oh wow.
I think just in general, like the population, it's the most populous Muslim country in the world.
Yeah.
So I think on the larger institutions, it's a little bit easier. And for them, you can sort of go to fully fledged Islamic banks.
Yeah.
Like there's large banks across the Middle East and across Asia, and even some of the larger investment banks. Like Deutsche Bank used to have a really famous Islamic window as well.
Yeah.
JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley would also be able to provide that. But for the smaller end of town, like mortgages, yes, in Australia you can get it.
Yep.
And they're pretty much commercially quite competitive, I would say, to a conventional finance. But asset finance is something that's slowly emerging into the market. And you've got things like, everyday use, like a debit card or your credit cards, for example, even like well-performing investment options. Yeah. It's hard, and
there just isn't that option for
them. It's really hard, especially if you look at the Australian market. So banks essentially you can't invest into. Because the majority of their income is from interest. Yeah. Then you look at something like a mining company, their balance sheet is full of debt, full of capital, a lot of interest charges, a lot of interest expense. Yeah. Again, makes sense the way the thing is, and also from an ESG perspective, it probably doesn't overlay into it as well. So a lot of the investment options, and then fixed income is really hard as well, because how do you do a fixed income product if you can't accept interest? So a lot of that will become, it's supposed to be asset backed as opposed to just a normal debt. So there's Sukuk, which is like a large investment grade bond that a lot of sovereigns can issue, a lot of large corporates can issue as well, but nobody in Australia has done that yet. So there's all these things. The Australian market is slowly getting there, and I think as the Muslim community matures,
Yeah.
I think we'll get there slowly. But places like the UK have had fully fledged Islamic banks as well in the
Yeah.
past. Places like South Africa as well, because the Muslim population there is quite mature, quite advanced.
Yeah.
They've got these options as well. Australia will slowly get there, but it'll take a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've done this. I was talking to a friend about it the other night actually. Has there been any modeling done on how many Muslims there will be by, let's say 2030, 2040 at all?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know. I think globally, I think there will be quite a lot because I think there's a lot of countries where Muslims are more prevalent and have higher birth rates.
Yep.
And I'm not really an economist, so I can't really speak to it.
Yeah.
But I assume in Australia to sort of match that as well.
Yep.
Like I can speak from experience. Like Muslim schools, through the work I do, I know that they are the largest or the fastest growing fastest growing segment of private schooling across Australia.
Really?
Yeah, especially in terms of financing needs, because all these other red brick schools, like you look at like the Scotch or MSJ, for example.
The established schools, I guess.
They're established. They've got large endowments, scholarship funds that they don't really need external debt. They're not making new campuses. But these Muslim schools, they're growing. Like the demand is really high.
Yeah. Without going into naming names, how much does it cost to start up a school?
I'd say it could be anywhere from purchasing the land for like say 5 or 6 billion, and construction costs another 10, 20 million.
Yeah.
Some large ones could go all the way up to 50 mil.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's even more. Because I think I didn't appreciate this until I got into the role, but school's really expensive.
Yeah.
Laboratory, gymnasium, some places have swimming pools.
Swimming pools,
well.
yeah.
And you're just thinking,
Something what else? All the chairs, all the tables,
everything,
all the whiteboards, and blackboards that they use nowadays.
Yeah, all this like little stuff that all adds up and amalgamates into this huge sum. So it can be anywhere from 5 mil for the land purchase all the way up to like 50 once you've actually constructed it.
Wow.
So yeah.
And does in your line of work, does your company go equity with these businesses that construct these schools, or what's the process?
Not really equity. So we use a lease to own structure. So we basically separate commercial and beneficial ownership. You buy us out over time, so the property is yours. Maybe not a school. The easiest way to think is, you want to buy this large CBD building. Okay, cool. We appoint you as our wakil or as an agent. You go out there, use NAB's funds or the institution's funds to purchase a property, run it, do whatever you need to.
So
you pay us out over time.
So basically it's like a loan. Here's $1 million to go spend to use.
Yeah, exactly. And then you use that to your advantage. You use it, but you have to pay us for, what does a financial institution or a bank do?
Yeah.
Do our due diligence on the property. Make sure, you've got XYZ tenants, you've got insurance and all that stuff. So that's what you're charging. That's what we're charging you for.
Okay.
And for use of our capital, obviously. So you're paying us a rental payment.
Yeah.
Say we agree upon it for 10 years. At the end of the 10 years, if you've paid it all, you give us a nominal fee, the property's yours. If, say, after 5 years you want to, move out, so you break the contract, you go into what's it called? It's called a unilateral promise, or a WAD, in which you say, okay, all outstanding rental payments owed, you're going to pay us. And
for whatever it means, like
whatever it means.
9 to 5 job or other business.
Yeah, and realistically, if you're moving, you're probably going to sell the property, so anything there, any profit you make is all yours.
Yeah.
But whatever outstanding rental payments you owe us,
we
take. And the rental payments are measured in line with any conventional financing.
Okay.
So commercially, you're not disadvantaged by using Islamic finance, and that was really important to us because the whole point of Islamic finance is to be equitable, to be fair, to support the community, and to be to have larger institutions enter. You need to show that commercially it's viable for both the banks or the financiers, but also the customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one transaction that stands out to you? It doesn't have to be the biggest, or your first, but what's one transaction that really stands out to you?
You know what? So this is from when I was a grad, and I'd say about a third of our portfolio is non-Muslims, non-Muslim businesses actually.
Oh, so 1/3 of your business is using Islamic finance products?
No. So our whole business uses Islamic finance product, but a third of it is probably non-Muslim clients.
Oh.
Yeah, so they've either got, Muslim partner, they want to attract Muslim investment or whatever it might be.
Oh, wow. But the actual directors or whatever, the
business owners are not Muslim.
Yeah.
So this is one example of these guys doing a large development. I think it was a large development, but they didn't need that much money. It was probably a smaller end of it.
Was this residential development?
It was warehouses.
Warehouses.
Yeah, up in like northern Melbourne, like Craigieman area.
Yeah.
And
was it Amazon? No, joking.
I wish. If we get Jeff Bezos on the books, I can take the rest of the year off. But no, it was like they came to us and there's non-Muslim guys and they have a Muslim partner essentially.
Okay.
So the Muslim partner didn't want to touch debt. He was doing very well for himself, had multiple very successful businesses, but every development they had done together was purely equity based.
Wow.
So you can imagine, like, having $10 million or something,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden costs blow out or whatever, and you've got to go in, you're all stretched out with equity, and if he doesn't use debt, neither of the partners do either. So there's these guys who sort of just had the shortfall in the development.
Yeah.
So these non-Muslim guys brought this Muslim guy kicking and screaming to, I don't want to do this, I don't want to believe them. They're just saying, no, just meet them, just see what they want to say. And I was a grad, so I didn't say a single thing the entire meeting.
Yeah.
It wasn't intense, that's not what I would use, but it was quite academic about how they go about structuring it and how you explain to somebody, hey, this is compliant with Sharia, with Islamic finance, how that works. So, so for me, it's always interesting to see how, like I said, Islam is such a personal thing. Like majority of Muslims, I would say, that are homeowners, have just gone through conventional. That's fine, like, do what you want. But for some people, they won't touch even the Islamic finance options. They think that's not even allowed as well. So they'll rent for their entire life.
Wow.
So
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
Different levels of it,
Yeah.
So, part of the question I had there, I'm non-Muslim.
Yeah.
Can I obtain a Islamic finance product?
100%. Yeah. So if you wanted to, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like commercial, like I said, would be pretty much the same.
Yeah.
There's no disadvantage to doing it. A lot of people, I guess the appeal would be it is more equitable.
Yeah.
The idea of Islamic finance. But yeah, absolutely. I don't think like anybody's welcome if you want to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if Jeff Bezos wants a loan, please hit us up.
I'll pass you his number after this. Where do you see the future of Islamic finance in the next, maybe 10 years is a bit stretch, maybe 5 years? Where do you see the future? Maybe where do you see the future of it in 5 years' time?
Good question. So again, I've only been in the industry probably 2 years.
Yeah.
And I've seen there's a lot of barriers to execution, going to market, for multiple things. But I want to take a step back, and some of the reading I've done, my understanding is post-global financial crisis, where, a lot of traditional markets that financiers would, or investors would tap into, the US, Australia, were quite impacted, obviously, and the UK, for example. And that's where a lot of these non-Muslim jurisdictions realize, okay, there's a lot of money in the Gulf, a lot of money from oil and all these rich Arab states that wanted to invest elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's when they started to really facilitate Islamic finance. A really cool book that I read a few times, it's called Heaven's Bankers by Haris Irfan, and he talks through like the commodification essentially of Islamic finance and how it really just grew to a point where it wasn't sustainable at all. And it still exists. And this is what I was talking about, these investment banks like Deutsche Bank, set up offices in Dubai International Financial Center. So you go there, and even if you go now, there's still all these like large firms, large law firms, financial firms that are still prevalent there providing Islamic finance. So I think that's the case on the larger end of town. I think, especially in Australia, the more we become reliant, and I think what's happening in the market at the moment, you're realizing a lot of these Gulf countries will be realizing, hey, maybe the Gulf isn't the best place to invest. They want to go, and I went to the Gulf, went to the UAE to meet investors and whatnot, and what they tell us about Australia is it's akhir dunya, so it's at the end of the world. It's too far. I don't want to sit on a 16-hour plane to go there.
Fair enough.
No many people would.
Yeah.
But I think as Australian financial markets, they sort of mature, they realize, okay, we've got a lot of opportunity here to go to, like I said before, Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei, they're so close to us, they're our neighbors.
Yeah.
So to attract institutional capital from there could be quite advantageous. And I would love to see the government take steps to facilitate into, dialogue between these countries. We've got a free trade agreement with the UAE now. Why can't that, replicate itself into more financial cooperation as well, and introducing Australian banks to the UAE, for example.
Yeah.
But on the other end of town, I think as the Islamic community matures in Australia, we're, again, not an economist, not a demographist or anything, but my understanding colloquially of what I see in the community is majority of us are immigrants. Like I'm an immigrant. I was born overseas. I moved here quite young, and a lot of people from the Islamic faith go into starting their own businesses. And because they don't have any other place to invest it, they just continue to invest into their business and they grow it. And you'd be surprised how many large businesses around here are owned by Muslims. So this is by EHP Labs.
Yep.
That's owned by a Muslim.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so EHP Labs, one of the largest guys, it's owned by this guy called Izzat Bashar. And you hear him speak, he's proud, I think he's Fijian Indian descent, but he's proud Muslim, he speaks about his faith quite openly. So you'd be surprised how many businesses there are out there owned by Muslims.
Maybe you sponsor this podcast.
Izzat, hit us up. Yeah. But yeah, like things like that. I think
Yeah.
that's what you start to see as the needs of the Muslim community mature. You have more investment products. You have like naturally more larger financial institutions
for sure.
invest into these products that help the community because it's money for them as well. Like they're leaving money on the table by not having it available yet. So I think that's where I see it growing in the next 5 to 10 years, definitely.
And not to do economic or political, I have an economics background, but not worked in it professionally. I think, with the state of the Australian economy at the moment, it's like if you can attract overseas investors, to start businesses here, to, employ, Australians here, why not, right?
Absolutely.
Why not? Like it's, they're still paying their taxes in the day, they're still, contributing to the economy just as equally as those that weren't born here. So I think, from my perspective, it makes sense. It makes total sense.
Completely agree. And again, you'd be surprised how many, if you go to, the basketball courts that RMIT has in the city. Like next to, I think it's called Apex Square or something. If you look right behind that, there's a massive, like 50-story building. That was built by a Malaysian company. That majority of their board of directors and investors are Muslims.
Oh wow!
Muslim Malaysians. It's called SB Setia if you look them up. And there's these other things. So I can name another one. So South Wharf DFO.
South Wharf DFO. Yep.
Across that, the Novotel.
Novotel. Yep.
Owned by Kuwaiti Group.
Oh wow! Really?
They own that and a couple of others, about 250 mil worth of hotel assets across Australia.
Did they own just that one, or they own ones overseas as well?
No, they have a global presence. They're based in Kuwait, so the capital's coming from there, and it makes sense for Australia if they want to, attract more of that sort of capital. Having an Islamic finance option embedded into Australian tax framework, like I don't see any issues with that.
So despite being a population of 1 million, obviously some of these people that live in Australia, but despite only being a population of 1 million, it's everywhere.
Exactly. Completely agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Great hotels and great drinks, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You talked about it just there, Has. I want to get into that real quick. You went to the UAE last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
As part of work, I think it was as well.
So
can you give us a bit of a reason as to why you went and how the experience it was?
Yeah, so we were actually awarded a few awards for the work we're doing within the Islamic finance space. Like I said, I think a lot of people assume it's quite easy to start because they just say, hey, why don't you just do more?
Yeah.
Again, it's just not that easy. Like I can't take any credit for this. Like my people leader, my manager is, mashallah, put in so much work into this, and I've seen the barriers he's faced. I've only been here for about 2 years, like I said, and I've seen the barriers already in the last 2 years, so I can't imagine what it was like to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, some of the Islamophobia and some of the discrimination we face in the role from both inside the organisation and outside is quite prevalent. So I think being recognised for that by international boards to say, okay, Australia is, there's this one large bank that's actually committed to providing Islamic capital, and that's fantastic. So we went there for an awards thing and we said, okay, let's do I was there for about 5 days total in the UAE. Purely self-funded, I want to say. I went purely for my learning, and it was such a fantastic experience. And we met so many cool investors from globally. And it really opens doors. Like you'd be surprised how much money is coming in from the UAE into Australia as well.
Do you want to figure off the top of your head?
Probably not a figure, but I can give you an example. Like just look at Melbourne City Football Club. Like they're owned by the City Football Group. There's a reason the City Football Group, which is owned by the Emiratis, is investing into Australia. Like the talent's here. Another one. So this guy, I used to see him at the mosque. He played football for Preston City, so just NPL 1, and he recently signed for the Kuwaiti national team.
What?
Yeah, so there's like all these things going. There's a lot of other brothers from the local community you see that play NPL football, which is, I don't want to say it's club football, but it's it's local football essentially.
Semi-professional.
Semi-professional football, and they're representing their countries. Like, they play for Sudan, they play for Eritrea and whatnot. So there's a lot of global recognition of what Muslims are doing here. So there's people here, in the agricultural space as well, which is really cool. So I think my biggest takeaway from there was, okay, people don't realize how much of an opportunity there is in Australia. But it's slowly the tide shifting. Like people are now recognizing, okay, there's this option here. As a lot of it was like elevating our platform and what we offer to them as well. So
Okay. How was the 16-hour flight?
Slept. Made sure I took the overnight flights and I slept the entire time. Was knocked out. Is that, I don't know if you've seen it on TikTok or Instagram where you're just sleeping and the flight attendants come by, you hear chicken and beef and you're immediately awake. Thinking,
That's definitely me on flights for sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel responsibility to represent your religion, and also because it ties into your role, do you feel that an added responsibility as well?
Not a responsibility. I think it's more of a pride. Like, I don't know how many people can say that they practice their faith on a daily basis through the work they do. It's something that I'm very grateful for. And as part of that discrimination thing, I think I almost read it as a badge of honor. Like, I'm naturally a focal point. Like, unfortunately, a lot of people who go through some crap through our corporate, and it happens in every corporate everywhere. But we're a focal point. We're a point of help for them, but we also do so much for the community. Like we're sponsoring fairs, we go out to careers events, opportunities that are only available to traditionally, like those red brick schools we're talking about, these institutions that have been around for hundreds of years. Yeah. Now providing it to emerging Muslim schools who wouldn't have had the opportunity, and a lot of these kids who grew up, with their parents not being in corporate, not realizing what opportunities there are out there for them. And like last year, I put my hand up to take in 2 students for work experience. Yeah. From the school that I used to attend, a Muslim school, and they were very happy to have me. And I go back, I speak at their careers events, and it's such a fulfilling thing. Yeah. So for my work, something I'm quite passionate about, to be able to do that, but also give back to my community, something I'm very grateful for.
It almost sounds like it's not even pressure. It just more sounds like it's embedded in you. Like it's embedded in your beliefs, obviously, but also embedded in your willingness. It sounds like to obviously give back, but it doesn't sound like a chore at the end of the day, to you at all.
Yeah, no, definitely not a chore. I actually quite enjoy it. I think being able to give back to community is probably the highlight of it. Like you're doing something for the people that I grew up with, people that I see on a daily basis, people who are my friends, and have very similar lived experiences to me. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
You mentioned there's probably a lot of misunderstanding driven by the news, or I guess people's lack of I don't know if lack of finding the truth is the right word, but lack of, I guess, knowledge or lack of information. Mm-hmm. If people want to learn more about the religion or even Islamic finance on that level there, how can they do that?
I think on the religion side, you can walk into any mosque. Yeah. Any mosque, if you're a non-Muslim Muslim, you just want to ask somebody about the religion, what it means to practice it, what it means on a daily basis, and if you have some of the harder hitting questions that naturally some people would be interested in asking, best place to ask. Yeah, I think we discussed this before. I'm not really qualified to speak on it, so I think we avoided that topic. But there's a lot of misconception about Islam around the global community, unfortunately, and I think there's a lot of people doing some fantastic work in elevating lived experiences and what it actually means. Yeah, I think social media is doing such a fantastic job at that. Yeah, like just humanizing Muslims, for lack of a better term. Like, we all go through the same things that everybody else does.
Oh, for sure.
We're not aliens. Like, we do everything else as well. On the Islamic finance side, I think there's some fantastic resources. I think one that I always like to look at from understanding what it means is a guy called the Islamic Finance Guru. He's big on LinkedIn, YouTube, social media, and he's got a good website as well. Yep. He does a lot of fantastic work in just disseminating knowledge and information, like publicly available as well. Yep. Some fantastic books and resources as well. Yep. Google search will get you quite far, honestly. Yeah. AI does a really good job of it as well.
Oh, really?
Like, you just ask, ChatGPT, hey, give me a 5-minute rundown of what Islamic finance is.
Bang.
Yeah, and it's pretty
accurate?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
What's one thing people can do to be more ethical with their money?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think ethical with your money, I think ESG is a fantastic initiative.
And for those watching, what's ESG?
So ESG is sort of like a guiding principle, like a framework that you put on top of whether you're investing or whether you're lending money and whatnot to environmental, social, and governance issues. I think that's a fantastic starting point. But I think, giving to charities that you trust towards causes that you're passionate about is a fantastic way to make great use of your money as well. I think it's so easy to be so wasteful with your money. I'm guilty of it too. Like, I have like 45 pairs of sneakers. Like,
do you actually?
Yeah.
Do you collect Jordans? Is it Jordans or?
Yeah, quite a bit of everything. I used to do sneaker reselling.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was like my uni side hustle. Yeah. But yeah, like never sold all of the pairs. So I got like
kept the good ones.
Yeah, kept all the good ones, exactly. But yeah, like I think it's so easy to be wasteful with your money, and Apple Pay feels like you're not paying at all. Just double click and just do that. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I feel there's something about the psychology behind that as opposed to the
psychology of money almost. Yeah.
Things like that. I think giving in charity, giving and in Islam we say this thing: give with your right hand to the point where your left hand doesn't know. So give with a full heart. Don't amplify what you're giving and whatnot. So things like that. I think giving to the community is always a really good way.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're just more conscious of your money and
Yeah, I think
kind of
so.
know where it's going. Well, what is it going towards, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Not awesome. But what did come up to my head just now has the Holy Bible that you talk about, like around, is that in English? I guess probably just back to the question I asked about, how do people get into it? If people are interested in reading it or you're booking it, is it actually in English?
Yeah. So obviously it's written in Arabic. When we read it for the sake of recitation, it's in Arabic.
Yep.
But there's plenty of English resources available. Translations, like even not translations, like actually delving into like line by line what every line means, or what a surah or like a verse or a chapter from the book means as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely, and it's really accessible as well. There's loads of free resources available online.
Yeah.
Most mosques will have that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, awesome.
No, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, like I said, it's almost gone an hour. I can't really remember. I'd love to have you on a part 2, maybe in a few months or a year.
Absolutely,
see how the community is going, but also how you're going in your work as well. I do have a closing tradition on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it is, I must every guest this that's come on. What is the best advice you've ever been given?
Best advice I've ever been given: say yes now and figure out how later. I think that applies to largely career things, but I think it can amplify to everything else. And just say yes to whatever opportunity comes your way.
Yeah.
Even if you're not sure how to do it, even if you're unsure, if you're scared,
Yeah.
try to figure it out. If it goes to crap, who cares?
Yeah.
Life's too short to have worries like that.
Yeah.
So say yes now, figure it out how later.
Yeah. Beautiful. Hey, Saz, if people want to reach out to yourself to talk about, faith or, inquire about Islamic finance, where can they reach out to you? I'll link your maybe Instagram,
Instagram, LinkedIn, either one. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram,
Done.
easiest way.
I'll put it in the description box. But
Awesome.
thanks guys for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks guys for coming on.
Thank you so much for
Don't
having
forget
me.
to like, comment, share, subscribe. Give us high ratings, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Hey, Saz.
That was really fun, bro.
That was awesome, man.
That was
That was
sick.